And, since Joe was just up here, I think we all should give a round of applause to Joe Rice. He gave so many years dedicating to the Milwaukee County Board and fought for reform in that way. And I wish he was still representing us, but he's not. So, but let's give him a He's also a very big help on the North Shore Republican Board as well. So on to our guest featured speaker. I'm so happy you can be here tonight, Brian, but I want to introduce Brian Fraley, who we see on TV. So I don't know if it's every Sunday, but a lot of Sundays with Charlie Sykes, the managing editor and co-founder of Right Wisconsin and senior fellow at the MacIver Institute, Brian Fraley.
Marco Rubio here. That little incident goes to show that conservatives, Republicans don't get a fair shake in the media. Nothing new. But it does go to a little bit about what I'm here to talk to you about briefly. I joked with someone who asked me how long my speech was going to be today, and I said, I've actually taken 2 of Fidel Castro's most popular speeches and just extrapolated them a little bit. So, buenas noches, mis amigos. That is the extent of my Spanish right there. Yes, thank you. So who am I and how did I get here? Let's just start off a little bit with a little Admiral Stockdale moment, because it will put a lot of things into perspective. I'm a former Capitol staffer. Started working in the Wisconsin State Assembly in 1992. We have won and lost the majority in the state Senate, I think 78 times since then. I was the political director of RPW in 1996. For those of you who are new to the party, that was before we got a lot of attention. The extent of the bells and whistles that they sent us in 1996 were 2 boxes about the size of this podium, filled with one-sided Dole placards. They weren't even yard signs. We had to staple together to make yard signs. And red, white, and blue pom-poms, because apparently they didn't think that we could go to Walmart and get those ourselves. So that was it. And I think Bob Dole came to Wisconsin twice to the Dane County Airport, where he did fly in. And one time he did it, I don't know if you remember, this is when Butt Man was the big thing the Clinton administration was saying he was tied to big tobacco. So here it is. It's 1,000 degrees. He's 5 hours late. I don't know. I might be exaggerating a little bit. I've been known to do that. And we're in a hangar, waiting. The average age of the crowd is about 110. I mean, they're starting to fall. They're dropping, like crazy. We actually were able to draw a crowd. And I remember talking to Phil Prangy and saying, someone needs to go and buy bottled water now or get a really long garden hose, because these people this is just a terrible event. So here comes Dole. His plane comes. He gets off the plane. What's the plane in the background? Well, you guys know that Kraft and Oscar Mayer are in Madison. So the plane in the background that Dole gets off of, okay, here's the Dole plane. The plane in the background is the Philip Morris 727. Just great optics. So we've come a long way. Okay, we've come a long way with the several visits, the surrogates, and I don't know, some guy they picked for vice president that is somewhat familiar with Wisconsin. But I'm reminded of some of my earlier days of lunches I used to have about 20 years ago when I was a young assembly staffer. Right, we talked about what's wrong in the world and how we're going to solve it. Like every person in their 20s, we had all the answers. It was just a matter of resources. But we talked about, we didn't put this down in writing, not to avoid any open records requests, but we just were too lazy to actually put it down in writing. But we talked about the need for growth of our generation in the private sector, in government, in business, in the media. Now this is just at the dawn of the internet. I didn't even have a computer at my desk when I started in the state legislature as a staff. Of great benefits, but no computer. But we would sit and we'd bring our lunches and we'd talk about what needs to change. Now this at the time we were at 47 seats in the state assembly, up from 41 just the election before. In November of 92, we went to 47. This is back in the really dog days. Now Tommy was governor, but and was enjoying life, not having to worry about Republican majorities actually, and getting some stuff done in a bipartisan measure. But from a staffer standpoint, and a young conservative who wanted to change the world, it was very frustrating. But he made some plans. But this is before, as I said, before the internet. This is before Bob Dole's awful campaign. This is before President Clinton's Lewinsky scandal. And in an odd way, that's why I'm standing here today. And no, I don't have a blue dress to talk to you about. But with the Lewinsky scandal, Matt Drudge changed the world. And he changed it so much now that he gets over 1 million, or it might even be 100 million hits a month on his webpage for doing no work. All he does now is aggregate other people's work. It's a genius business model. That's not what we're doing at Right Wisconsin. Somebody else already figured that out and is making money off of doing that. But he really did. He changed the world, and he was able, what he really did, he did some original reporting on the Lewinsky thing, but everything else is he broke through the mainstream media filter. And the internet has really empowered individuals. Now, there's some argument about whether conservatives are putting themselves in a bubble and aren't exposed to other points of view. And although that can be a tendency, a natural inclination that can happen, that also is not what we're trying to do at Right Wisconsin. But more about that later. So I went from being a capital staffer, I was an insurance executive for a while, started my own consulting business, and about 4 years ago helped Brett Healy found the MacGyver Institute. We were knocking around for about a year doing some public policy stuff, and then all hell broke loose in Madison, and we were able to, I knew that we had hit something big when in my office, in our offices in Madison, at one time, man, people were this. Okay, Herman Cain was campaigning, and there was something going on, so Herman Cain was there. Sarah Palin's advance people were in our office, all at the same time. The Heritage Foundation, some folks from the RNC, because apparently there's some Wisconsin connection to the RNC, and Andrew Breitbart. And Andrew Breitbart, who passed away a year ago, March 1st, I don't know how many of you know this, but Andrew Breitbart led an incredibly bizarre and short life. He helped found the Drudge Report with Matt Drudge. He helped found the Huffington Post with Arianna Huffington. And he, of course, helped found the Breitbart Empire. And his take no prisoners approach toward kind of like a guerrilla conservative journalism really invigorated a lot of people, especially a lot of people under the age of 30. Now, we do a little bit of that at Right Wisconsin, but frankly, the world doesn't need imitators. People need to carve their own niche. But one thing we like doing is we like, as Drudge did and as Breitbart did, cut through the mainstream media filter. When I first started in the state assembly as a staffer, I worked in communications. There were 27 full-time reporters working the Capitol Press Corps, and really full-time there, from the crack of noon till 3 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday, but they were there. The old Sentinel had 2 or 3, the Journal had 4, the AP had 4, even some Madison-based TV stations had people stationed there. Now, there's like a handful. So people don't cover it, you don't get the news anymore. You get every day, at best, you get 3 minutes of news of what's going on in the state government. When that happened here in Milwaukee County, that's when the pension scandal was able to happen. That's when people weren't looking. People's worst fears of government can take place. So part of what we try to do is we try to shed light on things. Now, there's a cockroach light analogy here, but you guys have all heard that. We don't need to do that. But we need more of this. For many years, including at that discussion 20 years ago with some friends of mine, we started talking about, I wish there was, we need more. We need more ways to break through the media filter. We're not getting the news through the newspaper. The Journal Sentinel merged. They stink. Funny story about that in a second. I know I work for the same company. No, there is a funny story there. Trust me. There's several, but there's a couple that I can tell the mixed company. But we complained about it, and we complained about it, and we complained about it, and I complained about it. And then the next year I would complain about it some more. And then the next year I would complain about it some more. And talk radio emerged. But, you know, talk radio's on, your favorite show's on for 3.5 hours from 8:30 to noon, Monday through Friday on the big stick in the state. But there are other shows, I get that, and I'm friends with these other hosts on other stations too. But they power down, or they sign off, or they take weekends off. And it's just, it's not enough. We've seen these elections after elections. It's not enough. I bet you every single person in this room worked harder in the last election than they ever did in their lives. I saw the victory centers. I saw what was going on. Now see, I thought Romney was going to win because I believed there was an enthusiasm pie. And because our slice was bigger than ever before, that meant their slice was smaller. Well, I forgot about the thing I've been complaining about for years, and that's the media and the ability to get the message out to people, as Rush and several others call low information voters. So I am on a crusade to limit the size of the low information voter pie. A lot of people have talked about the digital divide and how the left is kicking our tail on whether it's groups, for-profit, non-profit sources of information. You start with NPR, you end with MSNBC, you've got everything in between. So part of my job now is to convince people all across the state of Wisconsin that it's worth 17 cents a day to support our endeavor. Because instead of just talking about it, and talking about it, and talking about it, and talking about it, we've built something. We're going to continue to work on it, we're going to continue to build. Right Wisconsin is not just a site for news, although we have that. It's a digital community. And the community will work best when people engage, whether it's through Facebook or retweeting or sending emails to friends. Having that discussion go on 24/7, on demand, when you want. And that is the key. That is how Barack Obama won this election, because he micro-targeted people to get the message that would resonate with them, to them, as they wanted it. There's a incredible article that was published in Time magazine in January about how the Obama data mining operation and how their polling and everything worked. I won't reiterate it now. If anyone wants a copy of it, I'll hand out my business card and you can email me and I will send it to you. But from campaign messaging to the media to the different groups, how they got their messages out to people when they wanted it, on their phones, on their tablets, on their electronic billboards, you know, in their newspapers, however, whatever media. You don't get to decide. The people get to decide. So we have to go where the people are. So that's what we're trying to do. And that's what the mission of Right Wisconsin is. We want to be a homepage. We want to be an action center. And as much as I have roots in the Republican Party and I respect everything you're doing, we're also in a post-partisan world where more people are starting to identify themselves ideologically as opposed to bipartisan nature. That's why, frankly, the work that you guys have done in increasing your numbers and having more people come to conventions and stuff is just amazing. I mean, the fact that they had to add a table or two into this room, I'm not going to flatter myself. I know that they're not here to talk to me. It's good because you guys are still here for the fight, and that is fantastic. But we are all weird, okay? We're not normal. Now, the left has their side of people that are not normal, and I'm not talking about Segway Boy or the pink dress guy. But, we're more engaged. We voted yesterday, for crying out loud, okay? We're now even worse. Some of us voted early for the spring election, right? So we're a little different. But to win elections and to win hearts and minds, you've got to talk to the people who aren't low information voters, whatever, the people who aren't as engaged. And that's part of what Right Wisconsin wants to do too. I want to talk to all of you, and I want all of you to talk to us every single day if you want, when you want, on the issues you want. I'm not going to dictate to you what you should care about. Now, we think we have the finger on the pulse of what's important. We do key reads every day that are free. We have a lot of stuff on our site that's free. We have some stuff that you pay for. Okay? But you guys decide what is important. We track and monitor what's getting hits. And so if we're talking about green energy, we think it's really important. And we'll continue to do this stuff. But if people aren't interested in it, we're not going to shove it down your throats. But all of a sudden, people are really interested in the circuit court election, and they want to know more about it. And there's really engaging discussions going on our site. That tells us, give the people what they want. So that is what we try to do. We have perspectives every day that you can't get anywhere else. We have a running blog that we have several contributors on that talk about the issues of the day. And we have debates and discussions with ourselves, too. It's not just one-sided. And a perfect example is this reform plan for Milwaukee County. I'm a big supporter of it. There happens to be a provision of it that I hate, and I would like to see removed in committee, but I'm a big supporter of it. But I wrote something about it in opposition to one component of it. Representative Sanfilippo, the author of the proposal, and some of his people called me up, and the shorthand version is we have a difference of opinion here. And I said, great, send me your op-ed and we'll run it. And we did. We're not bound by space constraints. We don't have editors say, well, you can only give us 200 words, and we already run 2 editorials on that, so we won't do it. People can leave comments on whatever they want. We did more at Right Wisconsin in the last 4 months than just imagine how things could be, and how we could build this infrastructure, and how we could build a website. We did it. We built it. We're continuing to build it. We change things every day. WisPolitics, this great nonpartisan website of news, and has some opinion. And I've got friends that work there. They developed the site over 10 years ago. They've had one redesign in 11 years. The world doesn't work that way. Okay, we're already working on our redesign. We're already working on Right Wisconsin 2.0 because that is what, frankly, you guys demand. We're turning ideas into action. It's a little bit of what we did at the MacGyver Institute, too, whether it was on high-speed rail or getting to the bottom of the unemployment compensation fraud or the food share fraud. Turning ideas into action. I go back to that lunch in 1993, those series of lunches I had with friends of mine, co-workers. One of them was a state legislator from my hometown who was elected in 1993. He talked about what we needed to do to make this place a better state, a better place to live and raise his newborn kids. Scott Walker and I, Robin Voss, and several others would have these lunches, and we would talk about what can we do. Now, there's part of me going, okay, one's the Speaker of the Assembly, one's now Governor. What the hell's my problem? But that notwithstanding, we all have our niches. But we didn't just sit and talk about it and complain and say, we're getting our hat handed to us in the media. We just built a whole new distribution channel for conservative ideas, okay? And it is going to succeed or fail. It's up to us. It's up to us and our team at Right Wisconsin, Charlie and the rest of us, to give people what they want. We've made some adjustments already. We're going to continue to do this. We can concede, or we can succeed only by concert. It's not, can any of us imagine better? But can we all do better? The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise. We must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew. We must act anew. We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we can save our country. Abraham Lincoln, just weeks before the Emancipation Proclamation. So is this chubby guy from Wauwatosa now lives in Brookfield? Am I up here trying to save the country? You damn right I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are you, and that is why you are here. We must think anew. We must act anew. That's what I'm doing. I know that's what you're doing. Thank you very much.